Now I'm just going to drill in the same spots, make it a little bit bigger. Now we have our holes ready to put the fan in. Alright, what we're going to do now, after we have the holes drilled, we are going to cut out a square for the fan. It's going to be square first because you're going to use the blade here on the Dremel. So I'm going to start doing that now. I know it's not too clean, but it will be. Now sometimes, I was confident because sometimes you get this lip right here and you gotta cut all the way through it, so just make sure you go all the way through it. If not, you won't be able to do that. What I'm gonna do is get all these pieces off here in a minute. Do something like metal or whatnot. That helps you get them off. Sometimes not. Alright. Next we're going to put on the sand tool and show you the rest. Alright, now we have the sand bit on here. We're going to sand down these edges. Also, maybe sand a little bit more of a circle if you want to. You can do that too. Now after that, I'm going to take this, kind of rub it along the edge here. Make sure I scrape this stuff off. Once again, when you're doing that, don't get too close to these holes. You don't want to have the plastic crack right there when you go to drill in the screws. Also, you want to make sure this point right here, these plastic pieces on the edge right here, are out of the way. They hang a little bit lower, so you might not see them. I'm going to cut this one out a little bit more here. You can peel off on the bottom here too. Make sure none of this gets in the fan. Make sure it's all nice and smooth, which it does look like. And it looks like we're ready and set. Okay, what I did here is I started the screws in the bottom piece right here. You're going to want to make sure that the fan is blowing downward into the Xbox. You can take this wire here and get it out kind of so it goes under the Xbox. It's kind of a pain here a little bit. Now I have it out, so then this will just go through here. I started the screws there. Now if you want to, my screwdriver doesn't, or my drill doesn't fit down through these first holes. You can cut those holes off if you want to, just be careful, obviously the fan blades, but you can't cut them off if you don't want to hand screw them down. I'm probably just going to hand screw them like I did last time. If you do use a drill, make sure you are somewhat gentle on the torque. You don't want to break the plastic, but as you can see here, dead on, ready to go. Have the wire hanging and ready to go to the opposite side of the board or wherever we're going to wire it, which I believe will probably be on this side. but we can, like I said, we can shorten the wire up a little bit. Also, you can clean out this area too if you want to at some point in time, get that dust out of there, because there will be dust in there too. But the fan, top of the mod, is ready to go. Alright, here now we have, let me get a little closer, we have the board upside down. What we did was we taped our wire. This is the power cord side where the power cord goes in. This top layer here is all ground. These top. The middle three are your 12 volt power source, which is what we're going to run our 12 volt fan off of. I know some of you are thinking, you know, oh, well, I can go off the cord for the disc tray, 12 volt power source there. That is a way to do it. However, it can stress out the disc tray, and if you cut it, splice it, add it, you can short circuit the disc tray wire. That wire is actually fragile. Have I done it and completed it that way? Yes. This is a better power source though. It's straight from the power right here. You're not going through components or whatnot. So this is a better choice to make if you can do it. If you can solder, which isn't too difficult to do. Okay, now we have our red on the positive here, right in the middle. Then we have our negative right here on the last one. I know it's not the best soldering job ever, but it will work. We'll get the job done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put electrical tape over this so that it doesn't move or touch each other or touch the pan for that matter. So I'm going to bend these cords upward to around the front, just like that. Now some of you won't have as thick of wire as I do, but it gets the job done. Alrighty, on to the next step. Now what we're going to do inside of our base right here is we're going to put a couple pieces of tape show you, right inside of here. We did add solder, so it is a little bit thicker than it was. Don't make sure you don't cover the holes like I just did. Tape out of there. You do want to get a couple pieces in there, so then we do have some boundary. We have our spot taped up there so that none of the solder points do hit the board. And we're all set there. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to add some of the paste to the board here. Thermal paste. We're going to add just a little bit too. A little bit goes a long way here. I know some people talk about not using their fingers. It gets all over their fingers. Use a credit card, things like that. With my finger I can get it smoother than I can with a credit card. So that's just a recommendation there to wash your hands. It's not a big deal. If you have this apart, you shouldn't be worrying about getting your hands dirty anyway. So just going to smear it around here. You want to make sure you don't necessarily get it on anything other than the top of this chip. This transfers heat, so if we get it on any of the chips on the outside of this top piece, it's just going to transfer heat to those pieces and break them and break your board, so you don't want to do that. There we have the smooth finish on all three of them there. Those are the only ones you want to apply that to. Good. Now what we're going to do is apply our X-clamp fix here with our materials. Stand them up on its side like this. We're going to take our screw here. We're going to put all four of them in to the holes. putting it outside here is the best way to do it on the USB side. Gives it balance. Just want to make sure you don't tip it over, but it does give it some balance. Now the next step, after we have the screws in there, going to be our nylon washers that we have. So we put our nylon washers on. Nylon washer protects the board from the steel washer that we're going to tighten down. That's all that's doing, as well as a space holder, so we don't smash our chips. Alright, now that we have those on there, we're going to do our steel washers next. Now what we're going to do is, we have our heatsink ready. We're going to line it up here, line it up to the holes, and then we're going to finger tighten. Now you don't want to push down all the way because obviously the other screws will come out. One by one on the back side of it. Just like I'm doing here. Just finger tightening these. Just like so. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Going to put these screws through. Nylon washers next. Now some of you might be wondering why nylon washers are not on the bottom too. The bottom has a pretty good protection already. Doesn't necessarily need the washer there. We're kind of more worried about the top of the board, but it does have protection down there, so nothing to worry about. Put my drill on the low setting here, number 1, and I'm just going to tighten it just a little bit. You can kind of feel when it gets tight enough. You don't necessarily need to over tighten it. We just need to make sure there's a good connection between the board and the heat sinks. Now, just give a little insight on what I did with the fan. Is what we did was we located it right here above the heatsink for that chip, either GPU or CPU, as well as allowing the fans to pull the air through. The fans' air are going to hit down here, and the air is going to be pulling it this way out of the Xbox, thus keeping the red ring from happening again. So we're all set there. Alright, so here we are, we're getting ready. We have our positive and negative leads up here. We're going to drop this into the board. What we're going to do is we're going to slide it in back first, put the back all the way down against the board. Make sure it's all the way against the back. Then we're just going to slide it down gently. As gently as possible. It may drop, but that's alright. Make sure everything's solid and down. All the holes line up. We're good there. Now what we need to do, we need to put our butt connectors on the leads of our fan that we have here, ready to go. So, let's get our connectors. We just need to crimp them on.